time now for my weekly installment of the Big 12 matchups and then some for the week ending September 25th. Coming up, I will be picking 10 college football games against the spread. We've done very well so far. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And I will be picking the games, of course, against my rival. That is the almighty penny. That's right, Abraham Lincoln. So far, I've got the edge on Abe, but the 16th president, I know, will not go away without a fight. So we'll have 10 games to pick against the spread later on. Don't miss it. But first, we've got to talk about something important, and that is Big 12 news. If you didn't hear, the Colorado Buffaloes are leaving the Big 12 effective next season. Not as originally thought that they were going to leave in 2012. Instead, they're going to leave in 2011 to be a part of the Pac-10. We already, of course, knew that Nebraska would be a part of the Big 10 next year. So obviously, that means that the 2011 season will have 10 schools from the Big 12 Conference, not 11 as originally thought. We'll talk about the layout in just 1 minute, but first, for Colorado leaving, it's going to cost them a little bit, and actually it's going to cost them a lot. They have to pay a penalty of a little more than $6 million to leave early. Nebraska, of course, has to pay a little more than $9 million to leave the Big 12. So that's a little more than $16 million combined that the Big 12 schools, the remaining Big 12 schools, will get to share equally. So a little bit more pocket change, a little more than $1 million for each remaining Big 12 school. So again, Colorado officially will be a part of the Pac-10 next year and not in 2012. Now, as far as the new look Big 12 goes, effective 2011, as I mentioned, 10 teams. Everybody plays everybody in football next year. That means 9 conference games, only 3 non-conference games, and there will be no divisions. It's all going to be one conference, and there's no Big 12 championship game. So that's the big news as far as the layout of the Big 12 future goes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the picks. Last week against the spread, wow. Yes, it was fantastic. 7-2-1 against the spread. I'm beginning to amaze myself more and more by these picks. And not that I endorse gambling. We only do this for entertainment purposes, but if you went with my picks, you won even more money. 7-2-1 against the spread. The Florida game was a push because Florida was favored by 14 and won by 14, while the 2 losses were the games featuring Clemson and Auburn. Auburn won but didn't cover the 7. And Baylor was an underdog, a huge underdog by more than 20 points. TCU blew them away, so me getting the points didn't matter. I lost that one. So 7-2-1 last week against the spread, while the coin did pretty good too, 6-3-1 against the spread. For the season, I extend my lead over the coin by 3 games, a documented 21-7-2 against the spread, while the coin is 18-10-2 against the spread. Of course, the games will get more and more difficult to pick, including this week. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going, but still a long way to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. It's me against the almighty penny. Remember, if the coin lands on heads, the penny likes the favorite. If it lands on tails, obviously, it likes the underdog. Let's go and begin with the Thursday night game for September 23rd. Miami at Pittsburgh. Believe it or not, the Hurricanes are favored in this game by 3.5. I'm still not impressed with Miami on the road, especially with the play of Ja'Cory Harris. We saw how shaky he was against Ohio State just a couple of weeks ago. Pittsburgh's only loss was on the road against a good Utah team. The point spread, yeah, I don't know if the right team's favoring this game. I do think it'll be close, but if you're going to give me Pittsburgh and 3.5 points, I'll take it. So I'm going with the underdog with Pittsburgh plus the 3.5, while Mr. Coin likes Miami. Now let's go to Saturday and the Texas Longhorns. Texas, a 16-point favorite against UCLA. And I know Texas's offense has not been all that, but the defense has been spectacular, holding Texas Tech in check to just 1 offensive touchdown in Lubbock just a week ago. If UCLA cannot score against Stanford, I don't see how they can have success against Texas. Even though Texas has that big game against Oklahoma next week, Even if Texas got caught looking ahead, I still think they can cover that spread against the Bruins. So give me Texas minus the 16, while the coin likes UCLA. North Carolina State, an 8-point underdog at Georgia Tech. Terrific performance by the Wolfpack on national TV last week against Cincinnati. Georgia Tech, I'm still scratching my head as to how they lost to Kansas earlier in the month. The game's in Atlanta. 8 points is too many for the Ramblin' Wreck. So I'll take NC State with those 8 points, while the coin likes the favorite, which is Georgia Tech. Looking at some other games, Kansas State, the Wildcats, they're at home against Central Florida. And that running game of Kansas State has been terrific. Daniel Thomas, arguably the best running back in the Big 12, should have another big day as K-State in Manhattan. I look for them to cover the 7 against Central Florida, while the coin likes Central Florida. Wow, the coin and I don't see eye to eye this week at all, at least not so far. Stanford at Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, 5-point underdogs. Rarely do you see Notre Dame as a home underdog, but they are against Andrew Luck and the pass-happy Cardinal offensive attack. Even though Stanford's playing pretty good ball right now, remember Notre Dame's 2 losses have been close. To Michigan in the last minute and to Michigan State in overtime as a result of that fake field goal. Brilliant call, by the way, by the Spartans in that game. But 5 points, that's 2 million points for Stanford on the road. I look for Notre Dame getting those 5 to cover, while the coin likes Stanford. Boy, somebody's going down this week, either myself or the coin, because we're disagreeing on virtually everything right now. Now you have South Carolina at Auburn. Auburn, slight favorite by 3 points, a battle of top 25 teams. And Auburn, they know what it's like to play close games because they won in overtime against Clemson a week ago. They also had a difficult SEC road game against Mississippi State in which the Tigers pulled it out. But you can only win close games for so long. South Carolina, I think, is the real thing. I think the old ball coach at South Carolina playing pretty well. Even though it's at Auburn, I think South Carolina can cover the 3 and maybe win straight up. So I'll take the underdog, South Carolina, plus 3. The coin likes South Carolina. So there we have an agreement between Abe Lincoln and myself. LSU at home against West Virginia. LSU is getting a lot of points in this game, 9.5. And I don't know why. I think West Virginia is a pretty good team. I think LSU's good too, but remember the Tigers had a difficult time against a North Carolina team earlier in the year, which Carolina had a lot of players who didn't play for academic reasons. So 9.5 points. I know it's in a very difficult environment, but West Virginia I think can go in there and at least cover the 9.5. So West Virginia plus 9.5. While the old coin likes LSU. Never disagreement. And California at Arizona. Arizona, big victory over Iowa just a few days ago. Now will host the Cal Golden Bears. Cal blew Colorado out not too long ago, but lost to Nevada. The game's in Tucson. I think Arizona keeps momentum going. Give me the 6.5 points, or I guess in this case, I'm giving the 6.5 because Arizona's the favorite. So Arizona minus 6.5. The coin likes California to cover. And a couple more games. Alabama at Arkansas. 2 top 10 teams going at it. And I know College Game Day wanted to be at this game, but I'm sure they're going to be at the Florida at Alabama game just a week from Saturday. This is still a marquee game. Mark Ingram's back for Alabama. That's a big plus for the Tide. I think they'll win, but I think Arkansas is going to get points as well with Ryan Mallett at the helm. Of course, Arkansas with that win between the hedges and Georgia. I think Georgia, Margaret, who knows what's going to happen there. But Arkansas, I will take the Razorbacks getting the 7. I'm not saying they'll win, but I do think they'll cover. I think that's going to be one of those fantastic finish games. So give me the underdog in Arkansas. The coin is going with the defending national champions to cover. That's Alabama. And finally, where College Game Day will be at this week in Idaho for the Boise State game against Oregon State. This might be the last opportunity for anybody in the regular season to beat Boise. The sad thing is Boise is a 17.5-point favorite. That's way too many points. Oregon State has seen tough competition in TCU and actually played the Horned Frogs tough but lost. I think Boise on that Blue Smurf field will win, but they're not going to cover the 17.5 points. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Oregon State plus the 17.5 is the direction I'm going toward, and the coin likes Boise State. So the coin and I, yeah, somebody's going down this week and somebody's going down hard. We'll find out who next week when you join me for another installment of the Big 12 matchups and then some. So long.